Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will talk about Richard Brinsley Sheridan's drama, The Rivals. The Rivals, published in 1775, R.B. Sheridan, 1751-1816. Richard Brinsley Sheridan's The Rivals is a brilliant fusion of wit, satire, and a sentiment. It mocks the follies of fashionable society while celebrating truth, wit, and a good sense. Through characters like Sir Anthony, Mrs. Malaprop, and a Captain Absolute, Sheridan crafted a timeless comedy that still delights audience with its humor and moral insight. The genre of the work, comedy of manners or romantic comedy, satire. Date of first performance, January 17, 1775. Place of first performance, Covent Garden Theatre, London. The revised version appeared in March 1775 after the first version was poorly received. The setting of the work, the city of Bath, England, during the 18th century. The period, Restoration, Neoclassical period, late 18th century English drama. Background and a context. Sheridan wrote The Rivals at the age of 23. It was his first play and it established him as one of the leading dramatists of his time. The play belongs to the tradition of Restoration and a sentimental comedy, combining wit, satire, and a moral instruction. Bath was a fashionable resort city in the 18th century, famous for its upper-class leisure, gossip, and a flirtation. The perfect setting for a comedy of mistaken identities and a romantic confusion. Summary of the work. Act first, Introduction to The Rivals. The play opens in Bath, where Captain Jack Absolute, a young officer, is secretly wooing Lydia Languish, a romantic and a wealthy young lady. Lydia longs for a romantic elopement inspired by sentimental novels. Jack disguises himself as a poor ensign named Bivoli because Lydia prefers a lover of low birth. Mrs. Malaprop, Lydia's aunt and a guardian, disapproves of Lydia's romantic notion and wants her to marry a respectable man. Ironically, Captain Absolute, not knowing he is Bivoli himself. Meanwhile, Sir Anthony Absolute, Jack's father, also wishes his son to marry Lydia. Act second, Romantic intrigues. Lydia confides in her maid Lucy, who secretly carries letters between the lovers, but it deceives everyone for bribes. Mrs. Malaprop and Sir Anthony arrange the marriage between Lydia and Jack, but when Sir Anthony tells his son to marry without revealing the name of the girl, Jack refuses out of pride. When Jack learns the lady is Lydia, he joyfully consents. Lydia, however, still wants to elope with Bivoli, not realizing it is the same man. Act 3. The comic subplot. The secondary plot involves Bob Acres, a foolish country gentleman who also loves Lydia, and Sir Lucius O'Trigger, an Irish baronet who loves Mrs. Malaprop, but he believes he is wooing a young lady through letters, thanks to Lucy's deception. The two men discuss honor and dueling, providing comic contrast to their main lovers. Act 4. Confusion and Revelation. Captain Absolute pretends to be Diwali in front of Lydia and Mrs. Malaprop, where his double identity begins to unravel. Sir Anthony discovers his son's secret. A series of humorous confrontations follow between fathers, lovers, and servants. Sir Lucius challenges Captain Absolute to a duel, mistaking him for a rival. Bob Acres also decides to challenge a Bivali for Lydia's love. Act 5. The Duel and a Resolution. The duel scene brings all misunderstandings to a climax. Captain Absolute reveals his true identity. Lydia feels betrayed, but later realizes the depth of Jack's love and forgives him. Sir Lucius learns he has been corresponding not with a young lady, but with a Mrs. Malaprop. The play ends with a reconciliations, forgiveness, and a laughter. All deceptions are cleared up, and the moral is that true love is better than romantic fantasy. Now let's have a look at the main characters. First of all, Captain Jack Absolute, the clever and a charming hero who disguises himself as Ensign Vivalli to win Lydia's love, represents wit and a rational love. Next up we have Lydia Lankish, a romantic sentimental young lady obsessed with the novels and the idea of elopement. She is a symbol of foolish romantic idealism. Next, Sir Anthony Absolute, Jack's authoritarian but warm-hearted father, a comic portrait of patriarchal authority. Next is Mrs. Malaprop, Lydia's aunt, pretentious, talkative, and known for her hilarious misuse of words, that is, malapropisms. Next, Bob Acres, a cowardly, vain country gentleman, comic rival to Jack for Lydia's hand. Next, Sir Lucius Outrigger, a quarrelsome Irishman, always ready for a duel, the other rival in this drama. Next, we have Falkland. Julia's lover represents excessive sensitivity and a jealousy, contrasts with a Jack's wit. Next we have Julia Melville, a gentle, rational woman, Lydia's cousin. Her love with a Falkland represents true sentiment over foolish passion. Next we have Lucy, Lydia's maid, cunning and self-interested, the source of many misunderstandings. Now let's have a look at the themes and ideas in the work. Romantic love versus real love. Sheridan mocks the sentimental notion of love promoted by novels. True love is based on sincerity and reason, not fantasy. Deception and a disguise. The plot revolves around a mistaken identities and a double roles, revealing the difference between appearance and a reality. Education and a pretension. Mrs. Malaprop's linguistic errors parody false learning and a social pretension. Honor and a dueling. The foolish obsession with a honor among men is ridiculed through Acres and the other character, Outrigger. Generational conflict. The tension between young lovers and controlling parents, for example, Sir Anthony versus Jack, mirrors social expectations. Women and society. Lydia and Julia embody two contrasting ideals of womanhood, romantic fantasy and rational virtue. The structure of the work. 5 acts following classical unity of action. Main plot, Jack and Lydia's romance. Subplot, Falkland and Julia's emotional misunderstanding. Comic parallel. Acres and Sir Lucius' foolish rivalry ends with a reconciliation typical of restoration and a sentimental comedy. Style and language. Comedy of manners, witty dialogue, social satire, elegant manners. Malapropism. Humorous misuse of words by Mrs. Malaprop. For example, he is the very pineapple of politeness instead of pinnacle. Satire. Sheridan satirizes superficial education, artificial romance, and their false ideals of honor. Balance. Combines laughter with a moral instruction to reform society by making it laugh at its follies. Significance and legacy of the work. The Rivals established Sheridan as one of the greatest comic dramatists of the 18th century. Introduced one of the most famous comic figures in English literature, Mrs. Malaprop. It reflects 18th century moral and social concerns, particularly the tension between reason and sentiment. Its humor, structure, and wit influenced the later playwrights, including Oscar Wilde. It continues to be staged and studied for its language, humor, and a commentary on love and manners. Now let's have a look at the most important lines from the play. Mrs. Malaprop says, "He is the very pineapple of politeness." She uses pineapple instead of pinnacle. She is as headstrong as an alligator on the banks of Nile. Instead of alligator, she uses alligator. Next, Sir Anthony Absolute says, "Fathers have a flinty hearts, no matter whether they love or hate their children." Next, Captain Absolute says, "If I must refuse her for her own sake, why then let her refuse me for mine?" Falkland says, "I never loved any woman but a Julia, yet I doubted her 1,000 times." The moral and a message of the play. Sheridan's central moral is moderation, between reason and sentiment, between duty and passion. He teaches that love should be genuine, rational, and mutual, not theatrical or deceitful. Education and manners should lead to clarity, not pretension. Now the symbolism used in this play. First of all, letters and disguises. The complexity and a confusion in a human communication. Duel symbolizes the absurd extremes of masculine pride and a false honor. The contemporary relevance of the play. Say social satire still resonates in a world obsessed with appearances and a social image. Language and communication. Mrs. Malaprop's malapropisms remain symbolic of pretentious misuse of language. Romantic idealism. Lydia's fantasies mirror modern dramatic misconceptions shaped by media and fiction. Comedy as critique. Sheridan's humor continues to show that moral education can be achieved through laughter.